All right, everybody, I have on Dane Johnson today, and I'm really excited to hear his story because he's going to talk about dealing with autoimmune issues and his story with Crohn's colitis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is it with Crohn's colitis? They're two different things, right?
Yeah, inflammatory bowel disease, we could say.
Right, right. Inflammatory bowel disease. We'll say that. Because I know you work with both of those. But his story is miraculous of what he went through and how he got to where he is and how he's advocating and helping people. And I know that there are so many people listening who are dealing with underlying health conditions, and maybe you're not getting answers that you want, or maybe you think that this is just a normal for you. And so I'm really excited for him to share his story and also share resources on what we can do, tips of things to look for, where to turn for help, how to advocate for yourself. So I'm really excited that you're on the podcast today. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I dedicate this time, this podcast to anyone out there who's chronically suffering. You can heal. It's not the end. There is an infinite amount of things we can do. And we're going to break down some stuff and hopefully get some massive results for you today and get some aha moments, which is why we're here to learn, to
Yeah,
grow. Let's build trust. Let's build integrity. Let's get results. I'm ready.
awesome. Awesome. I love that. Let's start with your story then, because
Yeah.
obviously you wouldn't be doing this work if it wasn't for your own personal journey through this.
100%. I mean, I was never an against the grain guy. I was raised in Virginia. I was a good old boy. I liked sports. I ate McDonald's and Chipotle, and I worked at Papa John's Pizza for 4 or 5 years. And I never worried about what organic food was or any of that when I was growing up. And when this happened to me, it was like a curse. It was like, God had smited me. And I know a lot of us feel like that out there. Like, what is going on? How come no one else is dealing with this? How come no one else is having severe reactions to food or any of it? I mean, it could be detergents or chemicals or perfumes, or I'm always chronically fatigued, no matter how much I sleep, or I'm getting, for me, it was blood in the stool, cramping, pain. And a lot of us, you don't know what inflammatory bowel disease is, an autoimmune disease of the gut. And there are many versions of it. And the doctors keep coming out with different ways of kind of saying the same thing. So you've got Crohn's, colitis, lymphocytic colitis, microscopic colitis, cholangioitis colitis, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, gastritis. I mean, there's so many different itises. It's inflammatory bowel disease, and they don't know what's causing the inflammation. And so I was perfectly normal growing up as a kid. And then when I got about 18, 19, that's when I started first seeing symptoms. I was under a lot of stress. I wanted to be big in the gym, so I was working out twice a day, 6 days a week, doing wind sprints, always pushing my maxes on what I could do in the gym. And I was running my mom helped me buy a company when I was 18, and I was going to college. I just had this natural instinct to work hard, and my body just started freaking out. And I think it had a lot to do with maybe some alcohol. I think really bad, poor quality whey protein, I think was a big, for me, it just messed me up. I think that's an issue. And we can also talk about the MAP infection connected with Crohn's colitis, mostly Crohn's disease, which is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, MAP, which is found in processed dairy. And it's been, clinically linked to causing Crohn's. They used to call it Johne's disease when it was in cows before the
Wow.
1950s. People started getting what's called Crohn's disease, named after Dr. Crohn. So it's really been an epidemic for us. And when I started getting these symptoms, what did that look like? Blood in the stool, weight loss, urgency, multiple bowel movements a day, 4 bowel movements, 8 bowel movements. At my worst, it was about 25 to 35 bowel movements a day. Then you're having bowel movements through the night, so you're not sleeping. It was about 8 or 9 months straight. I went to the bathroom 3 to 6 times every night, plus 12 to 15. When that happens, and then you're getting blood, then you're looking at anemia, you're looking at electrolyte issues. When you're losing that much water, you're going to lose weight quick. So I went from about 180 pounds down to 122 pounds at my worst. And I wasn't this pirate who was like, oh, I'm not going to listen to my doctor. No, I was like, doc, give me whatever you got, man. Give me what you got. Prednisone? Sure. Like Skittles, I was taking prednisone. 40 or 60 milligrams, taper down. Oh, reactions are terrible again. Back up, down, back up, down, back up, down. I took prednisone for 4 or 5 years, on and off. Lialda, Asacol, Mesalazine. I took 6-MP immunomodulator. I took methotrexate immunomodulator. I took Remicade. I took Entyvio immunosuppressants. I eventually and we'll get to the climax of my story when it became life-threatening, but I had to take a chemotherapy and TPN feeding tube to help save my life in 2014. And so it just got worse and worse over the years. So 2011, 2012, 2013, it went from this stinks, this is an inconvenience, what's going on, to okay, I'm 30 pounds underweight, I can't get out of bed, I can't leave the house, to all right, I need to stay in the hospital. And so I was in the hospital for 6 weeks straight, nearly died in 2014, and then I was housebound for a year. I was bed rested for 3 months after the hospital. It took me about 2 or 3 months to be able to walk again. And so, I mean, why and how did it get so bad? I don't want to scare anyone out there dealing with this. You know, if I have anything to say about it, you won't get as sick as me, and you'll have the tools that took me a decade to learn how to use, and really to make sense of nutrition and supplements and biohacking, alternative therapies, root causes, which we'll talk about in deep dive today. And but I suffered for a lot of years, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But nowadays it's the best thing, which is ironic. Hopefully we can get into that energetic shift today. But when I was in the hospital, you know, there's a very long story here, but I'll muddle it down for the purpose of this. Is I was already trying strict diets, carnivore, fruitarian, low FODMAP, SED. I kept losing weight and feeling more fatigued. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'd give up 7 or 8 days later on a really strict diet, eating 400 bananas a day or just having chicken. And I would be 7 pounds lighter and even more tired. And it just was like an endless imprisonment. And we didn't know how to get out. And my mom was flying out to come live with me because I lived in California at this time. I moved from Virginia. I wanted to live in California. I wanted to get into the acting and modeling scene, and I wanted to travel the world. And so I was trying to do that. And my mom was trying to help me keep my dream alive by not making me give up my apartment and move back to her basement in Virginia as a 24-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so she spent, I think the first year we were trying to heal me naturally, my mom and my dad probably spent about $30,000. And we're not a rich family. So we were pulling, my sister was helping out. We go to Whole Foods and spend $600-800 on all the stuff we read about on Google. And then we just throw it in my mouth and like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, almond, get rid of it's the dairy, get rid of the almond milk, have the gluten-free cereal, get the gluten-free bread, you know, try kombucha. Oh, have these yogurts, you know, oh, let's go on a bone broth diet for 4 days straight. You know, oh, let's make our own homemade goat yogurt. I mean, it was just endless. And I was a kid and I didn't want anything to do with it. So anyone out there who's really just burnt out by all this natural medicine talk and it's just way over your head, that was me. I was overwhelmed. I didn't want to do it. My mom was spending thousands. She was running around in circles trying to figure out things to help me. And I was a victim. I was angry at God. I was angry at my doctors. I was angry at my family because I didn't deserve this. I did nothing to cause it. And no one else had to deal with it. And everyone was in my ear telling me what I needed to do, but no one had it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just pissed. I was sympathetic dominant for sure. And I couldn't sleep. I was angry and I just, you know, would try to zone out and check out and just, you know, oh, we're going to put you on a 3-day liquid diet or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go and watch Netflix all day long for 3 days straight, not talk to anyone and live in my sweats and go to the bathroom 15, 20 times and whatever. And so depression and anxiety was a big thing and it was hell. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I went through hell and I was a victim and I was angry and I was depressed and doctors started talking about removing my colon. So it's like, okay, you know, you're 25 years old and we need to start talking about removing your colon because the biologics aren't working. The inflammation's so bad, you can't stop going to the bathroom, you're underweight, you're malnourished, you're anemic. And, you know, we go to a different doctor, get a different opinion. It was the same thing at Mayo Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, UCLA. And, you know, luckily something shifted inside of me where I've always had a fire in me. And if everyone's got that fire and you're just not willing to accept a reality that you don't want, then I'm gonna tell you right now, the big shift that happened to me, I was just so angry. I'd lost control of my bowel movements a zillion times. You know, I was getting off a plane and I had to go there for a work opportunity. And I got back and I was so sick. I was so tired. I was so in shame of what I was going through that something just snapped inside of me. And it was, I am not leaving this apartment until I have a plan. I don't give a beepity bloop bleep bleep until about what this doctor thinks he knows and what this person says. It doesn't matter. And the first thing I did is I went into my room and scissored up like 40 pieces of paper and I safety pinned them together and I wrote on the front of it 40 days and 40 nights after the Josh Hartnett movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I said, I am only going to eat what I cook for 40 days. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to be cool or be social. I'm not going out to castings. I'm not trying to make money. I had a girlfriend at the time who luckily was staying with me. I couldn't believe anyone would stay with someone going through what I was going through. And I said, my bedtime is 9 o'clock. You text me, you call me. No, I'm in bed.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't come over. No, I can't drive there. And it was like, that was the moment my life changed when I became the CEO of my health. But even when I did that, I almost died of the disease 2 years later. So it was I know that's confusing, but like it was a really long and really hard journey. And that's why I'm here today, because it was like the depth of pain and suffering I went through was just so severe that when I eventually got out, I felt like I could really be a leader in this cause. And but that really helped me, the journaling. And then when I did a few things right then and there. I only ate what I cooked. I did things that couldn't hurt me but could help me. So prayer, purpose, meditation, grounding, getting in the sun, gardening. I read insatiably at that point. I got into natural medicine school. I started hanging out with naturopath doctors and professors in the school. So I surrounded myself with people who believed in energetic healing and who taught me about mitochondria energy and ATP and taught me about drainage pathways and what is the microbiome? How does the gut work? How does the digestive process work? You know, how does the bile ducts and bile and fat malabsorption play into all of this, and a toxic overload, and what does the colon do and how can we support the colon? And eventually that saved my life because I started getting confident in what I knew and what I could do. And then I became, let's say patient zero on myself in natural medicine school, which I thought was a really big thing because everyone else was so chronic, no one else was really sick in the school I went to. And so not like me, I mean, I couldn't walk. So because the first year of school I was okay, and then I nearly died, and then the second year of school I was housebound. So while I was housebound, I had work to do. I was reading insatiably. I was talking with naturopath professors. I was doing the research. I was doing the homework. I was doing everything, and it just changed my life. And so by 2015, I had got myself off. I had completely dedicated my life to healing. So that was a big thing. It was my number one priority. It wasn't being social. It wasn't being cool. It wasn't going out to parties. It wasn't drinking alcohol. It wasn't having fast food or having conveniences. It wasn't traveling. It was like, I'm going to dedicate my day to healing. And then I would pray on it every day. This is the day the Lord has made, and I am grateful and happy in it. And the purpose of my day. My purpose of my day is to heal myself of Crohn's colitis, be the best son, brother, and friend I can be. This is the day the Lord has made, and I am grateful, and I rejoice in it. And I actually got that from Jordan Rubin. And then I would at night, same thing, prayer and purpose, aromatherapies, trying to re-engage. Now I know why. Get that parasympathetic nervous system rebalance the autonomic system, rebalance the circadian rhythm, get the melatonin producing, let yourself properly sleep, which is going to support the detox pathways. And so I really allowed myself to heal. I would do deep meditation in an Epsom salt bath and then go read only about healing, spiritual or about the science or about the biochemistry or about the power of herbs, supplements, peptides, alternative therapies, anything. When I was housebound, I would read probably 4 to 5 hours a day. I mean, I didn't leave the house. I was housebound for a year. So, I mean, after like 7 months, I would ride my bike to the grocery store. If you guys want to see it, type in Dane Johnson, 23andMe on YouTube. 23andMe actually, and it helped save me because I didn't have any money. They paid me to come do an interview of a day of the life of someone chronically sick with IBD because they were doing a special on IBD in 2015. Oh, wow. So if you go to YouTube, 23andMe, Dane Johnson, you'll see me at 140 pounds in my kitchen in this stupid little Santa Monica apartment. Like, I am no longer sick. I'm going for it. You're going to feel my energy in that because one of the big things that changed, and I'll give you this right now, is that my mind healed before my body did. Mm-hmm. I decided I was no longer a victim. I decided my number one priority was healing. I decided that I was going to build my own custom plan and I was going to be accountable for everything that I did. everything that I ate, everything that the energy that came to me, everything I felt, everything I read, everything I watched, everything I'd listened to in music. So there was a massive shift. And the fact, like another thing, a perfect example about responsibility is I was angry at my dad at 24. I didn't feel like I wanted him to do certain things. And then I felt justified at being angry because I'm 24 and he's the father. He's the older guy. He's supposed to know. So I carried that resentment for years. But when I started really meditating and looking at my life, I realized I can't carry around this anger anymore. I don't have space for it. So I went out of my way to make sure me and my dad were straight. We were good. And
Mhm.
I apologized to him. I came and said, I'm sorry that I've been messed up, that I didn't do things right. And it was a amazing moment because he started crying. And then I realized how much I loved him. And then we just like, it was done. It was squashed. And that's what I needed. And that's why I was carrying anger, is because I needed that. And so one of the also things that changed in the beginning is when you really get pushed into a corner of being sick and depressed and angry, and you feel like with me, it was life threatening. The doctors, 2014, around December, I can't remember the exact date, December 14th, it was a Thursday. They told my mom they didn't know if I was going to live through the night. So this was serious. This is not something like we're just playing here. And the doctors didn't know what to do. They didn't know if I was going to survive. My mom flew in, my dad flew in, my sisters flew in. I was in that hospital for 6 weeks straight. I had these massage things, these like electric massage things on my legs to try to massage my legs so I could continue to be mobile. But when you lose that much weight and you sit in a bed, you'll have such muscle atrophy that you can't walk. Like I couldn't flex my calf without it cramping up and I would fall. So I would, poop my pants, fall on myself, and I couldn't get up. So you're just talking about like humility and shame at its ultimate. You get broken down as a person. Absolutely. I mean, every layer of you. And the irony is I had built a career right before I got chronically sick. I was working for like I did a Tommy Hilfiger segment on Good Day LA. I was doing, and it was like now I have a cane, a beard, I'm 120 pounds, I can't walk. I'm like the irony of life, right? And um, it was the most painful, extreme thing. I hope I never have to go through something like that. And when I got out, it was about a year later. I was 180 pounds. I had got myself off. I had chosen, and I know this is a deep conversation a lot of people want to know about, but I got myself off. I took myself off Entyvio personally. I took myself off prednisone. I took myself off methotrexate. I got off the antiviral chemotherapy. I took myself off painkillers, Ambien. I was adamant about getting off those painkillers, even though it felt like I was pooping glass. And and then I think those were all, and then antibiotics, obviously got off antibiotics. And then a year later, all that trial and error, all those years of natural medicine, surrounding myself with what ifs and trying and failing and trying and failing. I was having 2 to 3 normal bowel movements a day, no blood, no urgency, no mucus. I gained 60 pounds of weight. I had no medications, and my sigmoidoscopy looked about 90 to 95% better. At UCLA, the doctor there said, what the hell are you doing? Your blood work's normal. I wasn't anemic. My RBC was normal. My hemoglobin was normal. What blood cell count was normal when it had been skyrocketed before. My CRP was normal when it had been like 40 before. And I started spouting off like a year of. And she said, okay, whatever, just whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Let me know if you need anything. And because I wasn't willing to take drugs, she was like, I don't know. I can't do anything for you, Dane. Do you need to come see me? I'm sorry. I mean, she was nice, but she was like, I can't do anything for you because you won't take the medications. And so it was like the best day of my life and also one of the scariest days of my life because I walked out of there like, I felt like Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm like, okay, I have no home. Like I'm a pirate now because I just did something that the doctors say is impossible. And now they're saying they really can't see me and can't do anything for me. So what do I do? Where's my safety? And so, I was actually bawling my eyes out on the way home because I felt scared but accomplished. And that energy really led me on an extreme passion to build Crohn's colitis lifestyle, like an obsession. One, and I'll say selfishly, I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to surround myself with people who got something in their life that they didn't deserve, that wasn't right, that they did nothing to cause, and they were feeling alone and lost, and they didn't want to live on medications that could cause cancer themselves over time. You know, they don't want to be on medications for the rest of their life. And it's okay. I mean, I work with people, tons of people who are on medications. Like, hey, look, I've learned a lot. Maybe you should stay on the medications a little longer. Give it some time. You know, I really think we need to work with conventional medicine, not fight. We're better together. All we need is just, you know, conventional medicine to realize that there's space for this, that food does matter, that integrative medicine and deep root issue analysis matters, and these labs matter, and there is something going on with digestion, and there are root issues around, you know, candida, parasites, Lyme disease, mold, biofilm issues, H. pylori infections, C. diff that's unfound, MAP infection. I mean, there's just so much they're not seeing, and I'm going to get into that because I'm gonna roast them here in a second, and once we get into it. So I'm like trying to shake hands, I'm trying to hug, I'm trying to love, I'm trying to create that connection because we're better together. But there are some huge missing holes in the conventional medicine. I don't care what hospital you go to, massive missing holes. And for a kid like me to figure that out, to me, I was flabbergasted. I was angry. Just like a lot of people listening right now are angry at their doctors, and they're angry at the conventional medicine because you have found things that they are, one, saying isn't true, or they're saying it doesn't matter, or they're not even looking for it. Like if you hadn't gone out of your way, they're not even looking for it. And that is such an angry thing because we put so much weight in our doctors to say, you're going to do everything in this world to take care of me, right? You're going to do everything in this world. And unfortunately, they can't. It's not that they won't, they can't. And that's what I had to learn the hard way. And when I realized it wasn't that they wouldn't, it was that they couldn't, that's when my anger went away. And that's where I would say, guys, just calm your anger about what you've experienced you've had with your doctors, or the trauma, or the stamp on the forehead of a diagnosis. Realize that we need a team. It's not one person. And you can't see someone for 10 minutes and solve their problems. And unfortunately, conventional doctors are, you know, they see 100 people a week. I mean, if I saw 100 people a week, I'd be going nuts. So, you know, we got to create space for that. But yeah, when I changed my life, it wasn't that I was walking on water. That's another thing. A lot of people think like, oh, Dane walks on water, Jordan Rubin walks on water, Dr. Mark Hyman walks on water. No, I've sat down with most of the biggest celebrity functional medicine practitioners at this point. Everyone's human. Everyone's learning. Everyone's growing. But we have this gift to give. And my gift is I went through hell. I went through something almost no one has gone through. And even, you know, 99% of the members of my community and my program, Shield program, have never experienced the kind of sickness I have. That gave me a confidence that I could lead. Because I think it's really hard to feel integrity in a leadership role if you haven't experienced great pain. Like our best leaders, our wisest people are usually those who went through great pain. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King, great pain. Right? Gandhi, great pain. It's probably one of the things that made them such great leaders, you know? And so I think that's a superpower. If you're going through great pain right now, realize the other side of this is you will have a superpower. You will be able to connect to people in a way that you never thought possible. You'll feel such a deeper passion and purpose. One of the biggest problems with people who don't go through pain is they don't feel purpose in life. They get lost, they get numb. They numb with drugs and sex and travel, and they don't have that purpose, that sense of what they're going to give back and what their mission is, something beyond money and materialism and fame, but something that really matters in this world. And if you don't have pain, I think it's hard to find it. So it's a blessing in that regard. And you know, I also was a connector. I bought my first company when I was 18, so I've always had an entrepreneurial thumb. And my mission now is to create a home for people suffering with IBD or gut health disorders, a digital home where you're connected. You can talk with thousands of others, like no policing. You can free, non-governing talk to each other, for better or for worse. I'm not going to try to like dilute somebody who's having a bad day or like something didn't go right. No, everyone can talk to each other. There's thousands of hours of training, solutions. We have practitioners. Like I've got an ND on staff, I got 3 doctors on staff now, and I've got a coach who just focuses on mental health, trauma, food fear, all of that, and resetting the nervous system, changing the signals from the stress biochemically. I mean, that's all she does. That's all she does in our community. So it's like we're building a home, a digital college, a digital safety net, a place to continue to learn, and everyone has the ability to build their own customized answer. We don't say you have to be carnivore, you have to be vegan, you have to be AIP. You know, it's the sugars. No, it's the lectins. I've interviewed Dr. Gundry, great man. Do I think it's just the lectins? No. And I interviewed a lot of different people with a lot of different concepts, and it's all out there. We can all learn, and then we cherry pick and build our own unique answer, which was one of the big things that solved me. So I'll give you some of those top things that in that year, what did I do? Number one, I healed my mind first. I had a cane, I made it light. I got my smiles on. If you can feel my energy right now, I'm literally reliving a lot of this with you guys. Okay, when I tell this story, it almost makes me want to cry, and then it makes me want to laugh because I'm reliving it. Okay, it's one thing I learned in acting class. You live it. Your cells can't tell the difference between you faking it or actually living it in real time. So I got happy. It was like I woke up, I put my robe on, I made my mucosal healing tea, I put on Bob Marley, I let the sun in, and I got my book and I started reading, highlighting, underlining, and that helped change what I was going to do and how I was going to change my program. I then filled out my journal. And I did my prayer, I did my aromatherapy, I did my purpose of the day. I called someone and made their day better. I might not be able to leave my house, but hey, how are you? How's your marriage? How's your family? Yeah, I miss you too. And then they would say, Dane, how are you doing? And I would always tell them what was right before I ever told them something was wrong. A big thing I changed there is that I didn't tell you a problem unless I told you a solution. That was a deal with myself. I'm not allowed to complain to you about problems unless I give you possible solutions. Man, it saves relationships. Most of us hold our pain inside because we don't want to burden our friends and our family. So the best way you do that, like say my mom would call me panicking every day because her son almost died, right? And she would say, are you still bleeding? And I would say, you know what, Mom, the blood's down 40% from 2 weeks ago. I can't believe blood's down 40%, baby, let's go. Instead of, yeah, I'm still bleeding. My life sucks. I hate this. What's wrong with me? Am I going to be sick forever? Because that was 22-year-old Dane. That was victim Dane. That was Dane. Parents were spending their entire net worth trying to heal, and he couldn't get off his ass and be the CEO of his health. And he expected somebody else to make him healthy because it wasn't his fault. So that's one thing I learned also, is fault versus responsibility. It wasn't my fault. So as a young man, it wasn't my responsibility to fix it. Really, in my mind, and you're going to feel my fire a little bit with this, guys, I believe that's the difference between children and adults, a girl and a woman, a boy and a man. And I've met 40-year-old boys and I've met 18-year-old men. I don't care how many times you've been around the sun, okay? Just because something isn't your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility. And I had to get that punched into my head through pain and through suffering. And I woke up and I said, I'm responsible for my health now. It's not on my doctor. My doctor's on my team. My mom's on my team. This naturopath doctor's on my team. Everyone at this school, everyone around me, they're on my team, but I'm leading this health. That's when my life completely changed. I'm responsible for every single thing, even though it's not my fault. And I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna get positive about it. I'm gonna be responsible for everything that goes in my mind, everything that comes in my energy field, everything that goes into my stomach. And my life completely changed. And a lot of things you can do right now are just obvious. You're just not ready to stand up, get off your knees, and own this thing. And you can feel that fire. Like, this was what got me out of that corner of I feel like I'm gonna die. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I couldn't get out of a bed for 3 months. You know, wasn't coherent. My sister would worry that I was going to be like a vegetable cognitively for the rest of my life. I had so much drugs in my system. And, you know, I fell over, cracked my head open. I had to use a cane. I couldn't lift the weight. The first time I went to a gym, I couldn't lift what the 78-year-old grandma had been doing with her personal trainer. I was laughing. I got down after her on this machine and I tried to lift her weight. I was like, nope. And I had a 315-pound bench press before this. So you can feel that energy, guys. And so I hope this is relating with you and helping you, because the thing that helped me the most to shift was, one of the books was The Maker's Diet by Jordan Rubin. And honestly, it wasn't his diet. It wasn't the Maker's Diet. It wasn't the HMOs and the yogurts and everything he was talking about. It was his story. I believe that he actually healed himself. I believe that he got off his knees and he gave me motivation and inspiration that I could do it. That was the biggest, all the other stuff was very valuable, but that was the heart of what changed my life, is that I believed he did it. I believed his story, and it made me believe and get convicted that I could do it. And then it just became obvious. Here are the things. If you can shift your mind right now, what are the obvious things that you're going to change? Only eat what you cook. I don't know if I should eat plants. I don't know if these lectins are a problem. I don't know if it's these fats. I don't know if nuts and seeds are a problem. I don't know if it's the steak. Oh, I don't know. I'm having a reaction to fermented foods. Maybe it's a histamine problem. Maybe it's small intestine bacterial overgrowth. I don't know. I'm getting undigested food in the stool. Maybe this is causing blood. Stop eating things that you don't prepare yourself. It's obvious. Is it harder? Is it less convenient? Yeah, but what's your priority here? Right? You hear me? This is how I talk to myself. 2, start doing things that can't hurt and can only help. Prayer, purpose, go to bed. Stop sitting up. Stop watching Netflix all day long. Turn that stupid TV off. Get rid of these EMF waves. Pray, do aroma, get your parasympathetic nervous system reengaged. Nurture your autonomic nervous system. Do meditation. Get an aromatherapy. How do you know which one? Smell them. The one that your body loves, smell that one every day. Put it on the back of your neck, maybe help engage your vagal nerve right behind your neck. You can put it on your forehead, right on your earlobes, also can be connected to different parts of your body, your bottom of your feet, all that. Breathe it in through the hair, everywhere. Say that prayer, send that affirmation out, and use that law of attraction, because you've got to awaken your divine ability. You are a divine person. People are divine. How do I know? Because you are the best, you are the biggest and most powerful creating organism on the planet. You also have intuition. You already know. You look at a plate of food and you intuitively know what you want to eat because your body knows what kind of nutrients is in there. You can smell something, taste something, and know if it's rotten or good, or even how nutrient dense it is, because you'll crave the more nutrient dense apple, the organic apple. You are an intuitive being that you need to refine that intuition and step into it. You need to realize you are a creator. You have a thought and you can bring it into existence. That is the ultimate form of creation, thought to existence. You are a creator, okay? You are also a manifester through affirmations, through perspective. Perspective is a form of manifestation. Like I said, Mom, blood's down 40%, baby, let's go. See, that's a perspective. What signal am I sending my cell? What hormones are being released? All right, dopamine, serotonin, right? Get rid of that overload of cortisol and adrenaline in your body and that stress hormones. Okay, you got to calm those down. That's going to happen with thought. You know, you can also shift those things through EFT tapping, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, German new medicine, hypnosis. You've got to decide to shift your body, just like you decide to lift a weight and get strong, just like you decide to go to the gym and work on your stomach or your butt or your chest or whatever you're doing. That is a manipulation. That is a creation, and you are making your body grow. You are making your body change and look. That is a superpower. Do the same thing, natural healing. It's the exact same recipe. All things in the universe are the same. I call it universal law. Once you realize how one thing works in life, you kind of realize how it works everywhere. Okay? And so here's an example of universal law. Positive energy creates positive energy. Negative energy creates negative energy. That's a universal law. So is your perspective positive? Are you allowing negative energy to sip into your life? Are you starting your day with positivity? What signal are you sending to your cells? What biochemistry reaction is happening based on the experience that you're having? Is that also increasing digestion? We know that signal will put you in the parasympathetic. How do you know? You'll be salivating. Your eyes will be contracted. If they're dilated, that means you're in the sympathetic. If your heart rate's high, that also means you're in the sympathetic. So you're probably sympathetic dominant, which is going to turn off your digestion process. It's going to affect your pancreatic enzymes, your bile production, your liver. It's going to affect your microbiome. It's going to cause more urgency, gut health issues. It's going to increase autoimmune reactions, whether you're dealing with multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, primary sclerosing cholangitis, Crohn's disease, or ulcerative colitis. Okay? This is coming out without even thought right now, guys. This is the deepest understanding of my spirit reliving this and just giving it to you, giving years of pain, years of suffering. And that's why you can hear why I'm so convicted on this. And so that's why I built my company, and my mission is to create a home for people who are chronically sick, who never deserve this. And, you know, we're not doctors. We didn't go to school. No one did. No one knows what the hell's going on anymore. The MDs, the MDs say, oh, it's inflammatory bowel disease. What's that? We don't know is the answer. Mm-hmm. IBD equals IDK. Okay, same thing. I don't know. What causes? Okay, what's inflamed? Well, it's chronic inflammation in the bowel. What causes it? We don't know. So that's the thing. Those are things you can start with right now. Journaling, prayer purpose, meditation, getting grounding. Grounding helps move the lymphatic system, helps release negative energy from EMF waves or stagnant. It increases blood flow. So stagnant lymph, stagnant blood flow, it can definitely help with that. We've seen it clinically. Get your feet in the ground. Breath work will help engage the parasympathetic, will help reset the circadian rhythm. Get your eyes into the sun. It is May right now. Get you out in the sun. Get your eyes out there. Red light therapy, you want to do it? Go out and go outside in morning sun and let yourself be outside. I didn't know all this through the clinical research, Elizabeth, when I started. But my intuition was obvious. So all the research is now proving what my body, my mind, and spirit in a healthy mode told me to do. So I'd wake up, and cold sweetling tea, put on Bob Marley. I wanna love you. That was what I was listening to. Turn off the craziness. Don't watch the drama movie. Put on a Jim Carrey movie, okay?
Mhm.
Alrighty then, and get outside, and then I put on music. I'd read a book. I'd let that sun out. I'd take my shoes off. I was surrounded by plants. To this day, I still take care of like 50 plants. I'm a gardener because I was gardening when I was stuck in a house. So it's just obvious in everything. The body is divine. The world was made perfect. Your body will start doing it. You intuitively already know. So when you get rid of that pain, you get rid of that trauma, and you start like breathing. The biggest thing meditation did besides help me with my nervous system was it allowed me to get rid of the pain, and then the answers became more obvious. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna make someone's day better. I'm gonna start cooking my own food. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna make a playlist. This is also something I created in meditation. I created a playlist called "I'm Already Healed." Okay. And I had to put 20 songs on there that made me want to sing along or gave me like a dopamine hit, the things you put on in a workout. But the trick was if I found myself skipping the song, then I had to delete it and add a new one. And so it was a constant hit of like excitement and like we're good to go. And then my first goal was to be able to walk to a stop sign and back home. And I would wear 2 pairs of underwear and black pants because I pooped my pants so many times in my life. And so then all of a sudden it was like I was listening to Tony Robbins. Then I got really into like motivational speaking and spiritual healing, Eckhart Tolle and Joe Dispenza and Tony. I love Tony's books. I mean, changed life changing for me. And I'd go do laps around my house in case I had to run back into the house, or my body freaked out. And I'm like, everything I've been through, I was still scared. And so all of a sudden I could do, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I could walk 2 miles. I could ride my bike. I could go to the gym. I went to the gym 25 days in a row. I was like 5 or 6 months in. I think it was about 5 months, 5 or 6 months in. I was on my 23rd day in a row at the gym. And my mom goes, "What the hell are you doing? Are you trying to get yourself? What are you doing at the gym?" And I said, "Ma, I'm just here to be surrounded by the energy." I realized it. It makes me happy to be in the routine because I was a 6-day-a-week gymmer before all this. I like the environment. I want to be around people lifting weights. So I would go to the gym, get on those mats, and I would just meditate.
Mhm.
I would just stretch. And I found that I would be less distracted at the gym than if I tried to stretch or meditate at my house. Because it's, oh, I got to read this. This is on, that's on, this is happening. I was less distracted. At the gym, you just work out harder. So I would go in there, I'd go into a yoga class and do like, I don't know, 10 minutes before my legs give out. And I'm like, I can't do that. I couldn't even walk 5 months ago. I can't hold Warrior 3, ladies and gentlemen. I can't do it. But I would laugh and I'd be sitting there with this crappy, like me and Grandpa over there, like, "Yo, what's up, man?" with this half-ass Warrior 3. And you can feel that energy. Do you feel the shift, guys? Do you feel what happened? I became curious. I became light. I became in love with life. I realized I had my mother, I had my friends, I had my father, I had my mind, I had my spirit, I had all the good things in life that it was like, would you rather lose those and have your gut health? Or would you rather lose your gut health and lose those? I was like, I'd rather lose my gut health any day. And there's so many worse things that can happen in your life. And you start, as the trauma goes down, your mind starts realizing it. You start getting optimistic again. And then it becomes obvious what you do. And then it was like, and then I didn't want to then it was like layer after layer. I don't want to live on restrictive diets. So it's like, how can I be able to eat a burger and fries again? See, a lot of us get stuck where we say, "Hey, I healed myself, but I'm going to be carnivore, or I'm going to be paleo, or I'm going to be SCD or AIP for the rest of my life. Like I'm just sticking with this because it's too dangerous." No, no, no. I wanted to be normal again. Stay on the offensive healing. Okay, so a few things. I don't ever cheat. I only celebrate. So there's no cheating. There's no diet. Like today, I don't have a diet. I have a lifestyle that makes me happy and healthy. Write that down, guys. Okay, eliminate a diet and build a lifestyle that makes you happy and healthy. Because if you don't, you'll continue to be unsafe and traumatized spiritually. You'll never actually truly heal or feel safe in your body as long as you're on a diet. You have to feel like your body can handle different foods because then you'll actually feel like your health is restored. Is your health truly restored if you can't handle brown rice? If you can't handle a salad? Now, I understand allergies, but I'm talking about digestion, absorption, proper breaking down, the colon properly eliminating. Is your health truly restored? And that was what I realized through meditation, that I didn't feel healthy. So I'll tell you right now, within about about a year and a half, maybe a little less, I was at a beach party with some friends, and And I decided, and they were there and they were drinking. I hadn't drank alcohol in a year and a half, 2 years. And I did a keg stand. I did a keg stand and drank down some nasty, poisonous, glyphosate, gluten, yeast-filled beer. And I only did it once, but why? Because I was like, I'm tired of feeling scared. Because I knew my gut was healed enough that now I needed to work on the trauma that I'm somehow a sick person. So that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is, there are offensive steps to healing mentally, spiritually, and physically. And and that was the journey. And I know that was long sought, and I hope that was helpful for all of you guys to kind of just feel and connect to the energy I tapped into and how I moved, and realize that healing was never linear the whole time. Like, I got certain benefits out of eating lots of fruits, and I realized it, and I cherry picked that into my custom shield plan. And I got certain benefits out of eating more carnivore paleo with meat, and I cherry picked some of that. I put it into my customized shield plan. And I got certain benefits out of probiotics, and realized why I couldn't handle fermented foods in the beginning and how I slowly could tolerate fermented foods. And then I realized what was going on with the raw foods and what foods, like salads and nuts and seeds, and why that was hurting me. And, and Dr. Gundry really helped shed some light on grains and how I could start adding in grains if I wanted, to the point where I can have sprouted rolled oats, pressure cooked oatmeal, and I can have, properly organic, sprouted, pressure cooked quinoa. Like, I can have these dense things. I can have beans. I can have a salad. But it took strategy. It took time. It took failure and then learning from it.
Mhm.
So I took these ideas of life and I made them measurements of success. And then life required me to do it, because once I healed myself and I was able to return to work, and it was ironic. This is actually why I quit acting. The moment I healed myself, my agent goes, "You good now?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I got an audition for you for a movie." And I said, "I haven't done acting class or any of this stuff in a year and a half. I don't even know how I feel about it, but okay, I'll go out." I got the freaking role. The guy gave me a role. And I believe I was so tapped into my energy and life and letting my ego down and all the shame and all the guilt that just came through in the camera. And the guy was like, "You're him." And so all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, from like, I nearly almost dead, like, just did what the doctor said was impossible. And now I'm on a movie set, and it was a scary movie. And there was this one scene where my girlfriend dies, and they needed me to like live that. And within a few days of trying to live in this experience of like, this person I love so much just died, and I'm like crying and I'm practicing like, "She's dead, she's dead, she's dead. It's your fault. Why weren't you there? Why weren't you there?" I'm practicing that. My body started reacting. I started getting more diarrhea. I started getting loose stool. I felt shaky, like, and then I got these huge
Mhm.
welts. Like, my wife and I were watching the stupid movie the other time, and there's this one scene where you can see these massive cystic welts on my neck. And I think it was from my lymphatic system. And that movie finished and I quit. I was done. I said, I don't want to be anybody else. I like being myself, and I don't want to portray an angry or sad or egotistical person. I'm still trying to be me. I'm still trying to be the best version of me. Why am I going to practice being somebody else? And I was done. I no longer had no interest. And I'm a terrible actor. And I say that because I don't want to be, I'm a terrible actor. Okay. If somehow manifests in life or someone wants to put me in a movie, I'll play myself. That's it. You want me to be Dane, named Ricky? I'll be Dane. That's it. I'm done. And so it just taught me so much about life and what I wanted to value and what I wanted to do. And I knew that if I was ever going to do something where people knew me in this world, I wanted it to be for something that I really mattered to me, even if it had shame in it. Talking about poop and talking about bowel movements. I didn't care. I wanted to do something of integrity. I wanted to do something that mattered. I'd rather change one person's life than have 1,000 people not really know me and follow me for whatever stupid reason. And so it really changed my heart, and all this pain changed what I stood for and what I could do. And it's been 10 years now. And you can still feel how close it is to my heart, but it's been 10 years of me building my company, creating a solution for people around the world. And today, I've got coaches and doctors all around the world. My team sees about 120 IBD clients a week, and we have a few thousand members, and we have a very prominent community, and we do lab work, and we do customized plans, and we help treat root issues, which we can dive into now. And I've worked with 3-year-olds. I've helped 3-year-olds get symptom free. I've helped 6-year-olds get symptom free, which is very scary and hard. And I've worked with people who've had this disease for 40 years. I've worked with people who've had multiple surgeries, 3, 5, 6 surgeries to remove parts of their GI tract and gotten massive success. I work with one guy who'd been on medication and had no colon for 30 years, having 30 bowel movements a day. Can you imagine? No colon, Remicade for 25 years. He's 60 years old, had to retire because of the IBD. Doctor says it's time for a permanent stoma. You're done. And he's like, and he calls me and he says, if you can do anything for me. And I work with him. And within about 6 months, we had him to 4 to 5 bowel movements a day.
Wow.
For 30 years, 30
Wow.
years of chronic sickness. And those are, sometimes I get cases because I have to believe, like when we work with you, the 2 things we want more than anything is trust and integrity. Because over those years, there had to be a first of like, you've had this disease longer than me, a first of no one's been able to heal you, a first of you've tried everything and nothing's worked, a first of you've already had 5 surgeries, a first of you've already been on medications, a first of I already had cancer too, a first of I had primary sclerosing cholangitis and ulcerative colitis, or I've had endometriosis and ulcerative colitis, and I've had diabetes, pre-diabetic, and so it's like if you're going to work with someone, you have to build that, like, we're on the same team, we get it, we're going to work together, we're going to customize your plan, we're going to infinitely change things based on what your body is telling us, what your energy is telling us, what your lab work is telling us, and we're just going to viciously attack getting results. And we're going to do it through love and happiness and integrity. And, that's kind of, that I think has really helped because it didn't create a scalable company. Like, I didn't set out to go make $100 million as quickly as possible. And I think there's a lot of that in digital business. And I set out to create a program that was the most impactful gut health or IBS program in the world. Like, that has been the mission. And I know I couldn't do that and scale quickly or do something too much. So the last 10 years, it's been really focusing on how do I make sure I can really optimize results. And I'd say roughly about 90% of our clients get massive results. Mm-hmm. And I've done a lot of programs in the world. Like, don't say that for most, because most are just built to scale. Watch these videos, do these emails, and because you can't scale time. And we give a lot of time. So when you work with us, you get a one-on-one private coach. Mm-hmm. But we can only handle 35 to 40 clients a month. Well, there's 7 to 8 million people around the world with this issue. So right now we're continuing to work on how to truly scale, but I was never willing to create something that would like dilute or belittle the process. We really wanted to refine how we help people first, because this is what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully that's another 60 years, 70 years. So I got a long time. Come on, baby, let's go. We're gonna cure this stuff eventually. And so yeah, and another thing that's really cool, some things I'm proud of. We have the most testimonies of reversing Crohn's colitis than any clinic, doctor, or hospital in the world. We put out a testimony at least once a week. We have hundreds. They give no incentive. We don't pay them. We don't give them any discounts. We don't give them any incentive. These are people who got their life changed and wanted to pay it forward because they watched testimonies. They made it. They said, you know what, I'm going to cross the line. I'm going to go for this. And then they got great results. And yesterday I did a testimony with a girl who, this is always tears my heart. I got to say this. We did a testimony with a girl who she went on GoFundMe and raised money to join our program. Like, just literally said, I want to join this program and I'm going to go raise money, because she was completely broke, a single mother, no job. And it was like, she raised the money and she raised like almost exactly the much she needed to join the program, and then gave it to us. And we were like, it's really scary to do that with somebody who, like, someone wants to give you their last dollar. And we're like, we don't really feel comfortable with this. But then some people, like, they don't know where else to go. And I get that there's not like a lot of, like, they don't have a home and they just need somebody. And it's like, if there's integrity there, we'll say, okay, like, if you really understand this, and it's risky because it's like, what can we do? It's like, you can't buy any supplements. It's hard for you to go get organic food, but we got a girl. I love this story. I'm not going to say her name just because we're public and all that, but she joined the program, and she's had this disease for 8 years, 25 minutes a day. And within about 3 to 4 weeks, we had her symptom free. And she raised money. And it's like, that's, I mean, I can't do that for everybody, right? But like, that's like Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, connect, home run. You hope you hit a home run every time. You're not going to hit you can, no one bats 1,000. Let's put it straight. Any program, anything in the world, no one bats 1,000. It's impossible. But we try to get as close as possible to getting that mass results and being integrity for everyone. And so we filmed her testimony yesterday. It was just so great, so great. And we've got a lot more people who are like hearing this, and then they're going out and trying to raise money. And I'm like, shit, this is scary, man. But I'm going to manifest it. Me and my mom actually started a nonprofit to help raise money for people who couldn't afford functional medicine, because insurance doesn't cover any of the stuff that's worth doing. And my family spent at least $300,000, and it's just been tough. We don't know how to run a nonprofit and a 501c3, but we're learning, we're growing. And one of my clients who's semi-famous, who has worked with me privately, we got her healed. She hasn't a symptom in 2 years. She's a singer, and she was asked to go sing at this conference. And she was like, I need Dane's nonprofit to be the nonprofit of this if I'm coming. And then they were like, okay, so we might go to the Hamptons and try to raise some money to help people pay for natural medicine stuff. So I think in the long run, we'll be able to do it. But, I need the company to grow. I need to, continue to be in a bigger CEO situation. I need more cash flows to be able to build up the nonprofit and do the big things I want to do. I want to build a ghost kitchen so people can get clean food to their doorstep. I want to continue to build like retreats or ways that people with autoimmune disease can really come together and learn. Because all of us we don't want to fight. None of us really want to fight. We just want to learn, and we want to see what actually works. And then we want to integrate it. And we just need a home and a community to do that. And that's the what I've tried to do here, say like 99% of the people in our program, they don't come in and say craziness. They come in and realize everyone answers different. They're going to put their problems, other people are going to put their solutions, people are going to put what worked for them, people are going to post their testimony, their colonoscopies, and hey, I got a great colonoscopy, this is what I've been doing. And it's just a team. Like, we just need to come together and just realize we all have our unique answer. What's working for you? What's working for you? How do we come at this idea and get results? And that's what I'm most proud of. And, my community is kind of like my family, like I've met a few of them, and my coaches meet some of their clients. Like my coach from London and Spain, he flew in to go to the Cell Core conference with me in Texas. And then he stopped and met 2 of his clients, because my coaches have their long-term clients. Mm-hmm. And so he's like hanging out with these clients. We had one client accidentally, just so happenstance, be at my director of operations. He's been with me for 8 years. That thing, our whole team has been together for like 7-8 years now. And there was a 10-year-old client. We got symptom-free at the wedding. They just happened to be at the same hotel. Shout out Harrison. I can't say his, but we were like, what's up? So we met this kid. He's doing great. We met mom. She's happy. Dad's happy. Everyone's doing well. They just happened to be at the hotel. So it's happened a few times where we've run into clients around the world. So we're really excited to continue to like make this more in person, because you don't always know who you're dealing with online. But a lot of good energy. Let's continue to talk about like root cause. I know I just went through so much, but I want to give you guys some real value and some stuff on what you can really chew on right now. Okay, and this is where I gotta call out the conventional medicine system real quick. Okay, when I got chronically sick, they said you had IBD. They said diet doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do. Here's some prednisone. Okay, that didn't work. Lialda, mesalazine, that didn't work. Here's some methotrexate. Here's biologics. Now let's cut out your colon. Not once did they ever do a stool analysis on me, a quantitative PCR stool analysis to actually look what was going on there. When I got into functional medicine, I did one. I found massive candida overgrowth and a non-invasive stool test just sitting there. Out of every doctor I'd went to, everywhere I looked, no one talked to me about candida. No one talked to me about its connection to causing severe colon reactions. I had tons of candida in my body. E to the 5th, massive. No one talked to me about H. pylori. I had ulcers and gastritis. The doctors say, no, you have ulceration, because Crohn's colitis. One doctor would say, you have ulcerative colitis with gastritis. You don't have Crohn's disease. And then the UCLA doctor would go, I've been doing this for 40 years. You've got Crohn's disease, 100%. And the other doctor say, no, you just have ulcerative colitis. No, you got Crohn's disease. And they'd all kind of go back and forth. It's IBD. Okay, great, it's IBD. But one of the reasons I was getting gastritis is I had severe H. pylori overgrowth. It was causing ulcers and low stomach acid. It was causing undigested food in the stool. No one told me this. It's like, what the beep, bleepity, bloop, bleep, bleep. I've been to every hospital. No one talked to me about candida and H. pylori infections, but the PubMed research will tell you. Overgrowth of H. pylori can cause low stomach acid and lead to ulcers and lead to food intolerance and leaky gut and can affect the microbiome. And candida overgrowth in the body can cause extreme cytokine reaction and calprotectin increase and multiple bowel movements. I had a guy I was working with in LA. This guy was wealthy, very successful. And he starts work with me and he goes, I've been on drugs. They want to take out my colon. I'm having 25 bowel movements a day. I want to give up on life. What do I do? I did a stool test on him. He had like quadruple the amount of threshold of candida sitting in his non-invasive stool analysis. And I was like, buddy, I was like, Raf, his name was Raf. I said, Raf, dude, you've got candida. Okay, calm down. Life's going to be okay. I got him symptom-free in 2 months. He hasn't had a symptom in 3 years. He knows to keep his sugars down because candida, his body is so reactive. Here's what you need to understand. Look at COVID. It was a perfect example and teaches us something about autoimmune disease. Some people got so reactive to COVID, they died or they had to go to an ER room and go on a ventilator. Other people were completely asymptomatic to the same thing. We are all responding differently to these bacteria, to these viruses, to the Lyme disease, to parasites, to all of it. We're responding differently. What was killing me in the hospital that no one could figure out was cytomegalovirus.
What is that?
Cytomegalovirus is a nasty, nasty virus that it tends to take control of people who have really weakened immune systems. So over the years, my immune system got so weak, whatever happened, it got in my system and it took over my body, and it's extreme. A lot of people actually with AIDS, see, AIDS is something that makes your immune system so weak, or cancers, makes your immune system so weak that your body becomes susceptible to other things. That's what happens when like an elderly person dies of C. diff, or an elderly person or an AIDS person or cancer person can actually die of CMV. It can be life-threatening for people with a weak immune system. That's why I was dying. They couldn't find it. My mom was the one who called every doctor I had seen in the last 4 or 5 years. She lived in that hospital with me, calling everyone. Why? What is wrong? When I was in the hospital, I was on 200 milligrams of infused prednisone. I was on 3 or 4 antibiotics. I was on the Ambient. I was on painkillers. I was on, and then what helped save my life was the chemotherapy. She calls a guy in Florida, a doctor I'd seen, and I'd done 100 colonoscopies, right? They always want to do a colonoscopy on you, which is crazy when you have such inflammation because you can perforate the bowel. So be careful with that. So he says to me, he goes, my mom's name's Phyllis. He goes, Phyllis, I found a sample in one of his samples in his colonoscopy. I found the CMV virus. I think he's got an active virus that's taken over his body. The doctors aren't going to find it in his blood. Obviously, his colon's so messed up, they can't go in there and look. They wanted to cut out my colon at that point. That was it. And I got so sick, they couldn't even do the operation to cut out my colon because they thought it would kill me. And they said, I think he's got a CMV. You need to call his insurance, get him a sample of this as antiviral chemotherapy, or he's going to die. And she calls up the insurance. She calls in the urgent doctor and says, yo, you. I just talked to this doctor. So she gets this doctor, and this guy was a nice guy who would talk to us. I mean, you can't get doctors on the phone, right? She puts the Florida doctor on, and I'm unconscious. This is my mom telling me the story. She puts the Florida doctor on with the urgent doctor, and the doctor, one MD to another, says, I found this. This is what happened. The doctor's eyes go wide, calls my insurance, says, we need to get this kid an antiviral right now. He's going to die. And so we've got 2 doctors telling my insurance, well, the sample was $5-6 grand, the sample. So to put me on it was like, I don't know, 80, 100 grand. I had SAG. I had no insurance. I had insurance, but it was shit. It was bad. Yeah. And so they were like, you need to cover this if he's going to die. So they said, well, give him the sample. Upon taking the sample, within about a day, I woke up and became conscious, taking the sample of the chemo. And then they were like, well, that's good enough for them. So they kept me on the chemo for 6 weeks. That's also why I was like, my brain had melted. That stuff makes you can't. That stuff will make you feel like your brain is melting. I couldn't hear someone and like respond to them. And so I was on that for like 6 weeks, but saved my life. And so that was kind of, so no doctor besides that doctor in the ER room, no one ever talked about CMV. It was probably why I was so I get stressed. If you're out there and you get super stressed and you get shingles or cold sores, I'm telling you, look at viruses. I don't care if it's Crohn's, colitis, any autoimmune disease. These viruses are something that we are highly missing, even in the functional medicine world. I keep hearing everyone talk about Lyme, mold, and parasites, which are huge and big, but I find that if viruses for certain people is like life-threatening. And I've seen so many members just boom, hit the virus and boom, they're good, because it doesn't matter what you eat. That was the crazy. I could eat bone broth, I could fast, I could do liquid diet. It did not matter. That virus had taken over my body. So I had to act offensively. Okay, so you have to realize that sometimes you have to go on the offense to knock out these problems. So that was it. Like I that Cyomeris, I had Candida, I had massive dysbiosis, severe. My microbiome was way off, and then later on, I found parasites, Blastocystis hominis and Cyclospora. I found, and a lot of times lab work is terrible for things like Lyme disease, things like parasites, and even mold can be a problem. That's why a lot of functional medicine people are really diving into that and talking about it because they're systemic, they're hard to find. They also live in biofilms. So, and what is a biofilm? It's a matrix. It's this matrix. It's like this mucus matrix around the infections, which makes it almost impossible to find in your lab work.
Hmm.
So it's like everything lives inside of it. Like parasites live in biofilms, and so you have to use biofilm disruptors. But when you do that, you could literally cause a hurricane in your body if you're not ready. You don't know what you're doing. You need to talk. You need to work with someone who understands this stuff before you do that. So. Doing biofilm busters and deeper cleanses, and that's what people are doing. And, your liver, your drainage pathways have to be working. Lymph, liver, your ability to properly poop and sweat, skin, gut, skin, lymph, liver. Those are the main drainage that you need to focus on to heal yourself. And one of the root issues also is like just toxicity. I guarantee if you have been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, I 100% guarantee your body is over toxic. Toxins, heavy metals, endotoxins, pathogenic infection, an inability to release like what you're eating, the plastics, the clothes, the detergents, the makeup, the jewelry, the shampoo. I mean, there are toxic chemicals in everything nowadays. Your body can't get rid of it. So you might have a methylation issue. You would definitely have a drainage issue. You definitely have a liver issue. If you have an autoimmune disease, you have a liver and gut issue, 100%, 100%. So one of the things you have to do right now, and this is one of the big takeaways, is you've got to eliminate the toxic load in the body. You've got to continue to reduce. So when when someone says they feel better going on a diet, they're reducing toxic load, reducing seed oils, reducing toxic processed dairy and gluten, and chemicals from foods at the restaurants they're using because they're cooking everything in sunflower oil, safflower oil, and canola oil. It's like crazy. This stuff is highly toxic, highly. And there's, even some of the organic restaurants are using, oh yeah, we use organic chicken. And then they cook it in canola oil. It's like, well, you just ruined it. Like absolutely ruined it. And when they do the hibachi grill, when they do the choo-choo train and they use that oil, ask them what kind of oil that is. Ask them. It's toxic. It's absolute poison. Here's some poison for you. Here's some poison for you. And here's some poison for you. And that also helped me emotionally and spiritually as I started referring to it as poison. Like people are like, oh, are you on a diet? I say, no, I just don't poison myself. See, that's how I defend my energy. Because today I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. I just choose not to poison myself. See, I'm free. I'm free. And a lot of people listening right now are dealing with food fear and massive trauma around food. You got to get rid of that. You got to let your body and your nervous system get back to normal. So those root issues, I found those things. And you also need to be checking your house for mold. I mean, there's so many, there's so many issues around this. And it's a trauma in itself when you start realizing how many toxins are around us. But you can just one thing at a time start reducing it because you got to make healing your number one priority. It has to be your number one. Whoever you are, how many zeros are in your bank account, how much fame you have, it does not matter. Does not matter. And I feel like a lot of billionaires are waking up to this. A lot of very successful people are waking up that you cannot buy this. It is hard work and you've got to learn that your environment is no longer safe. And it's going to make you sick. And Steve Jobs, with all his billions, couldn't get himself out. The only thing he couldn't figure out was his health. He could figure out how to change the world, but he couldn't change his health. He couldn't change himself, right? Died of pancreatic cancer as a fruitarian. Whew. That's tough, right? Irony. Pancreas helps regulate insulin and sugar. I don't know. Connection? Maybe. So it's you got to look at this, that the number one thing we have to wake up to is not just how do I wake up with $10 million at the age of 50 and retire? No. Now that's great. We all want to do that. Awesome. Great. Your health, your vibrancy, your ability to feel good within your body. It's causing depression. It's causing anxiety. It's causing your acne. It's causing obesity. It's causing insulin resistance. It's causing metabolic issues. It's causing this whole idea of ADHD and bipolarism. It's highly connected to everything. Why didn't none of this exist 100 years ago? Not just because, yes, diagnosis wasn't around and we didn't call. We just called ADHD 100 years ago like a hyper boy. That was it, right? 50 years ago. But so diagnosis is a part of it. But Our environment is the main reason. And our soil isn't clean, our air isn't clean, our water isn't clean. If you're drinking tap water, you need to stop immediately. That is absolute poison. Absolute poison.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
actually
yeah.
interviewed like a handful of people over the last 7 years on like toxicity. And like one thing that they all say, they're like, if you can make one change in your house, get a water filter. Like every single
Yeah.
person that I've interviewed, like they're like, because it's the same. It's to start slowly because it can feel overwhelming. Then that feeds into the stress, which isn't helping.
Mhm.
Because it's great information to have, but I'm definitely somebody who can get super stressed out because I'm like, we have to do all of these things because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, one thing at a time. But every single person that I've interviewed has said the water filter, number one, like over the last 7 years, every single person.
It's true because it's one of the biggest loads of toxic craziness going right into our body, and it's easy to change. Here's what you notice as you start reducing toxins in your life, you actually might feel worse at first. If you are, realize that there's a drainage issue. That as your body starts getting less toxins and starts releasing those toxins, you could have a bit of a herx or a reaction where you feel a little worse at first as your body starts trying to release this stuff. If you immediately feel better, that could be a sign that your drainage pathways are stronger and more open. Okay, so watch for that. Some people are like, oh my God, like if a person comes off like cigarettes, they'll get more headaches or more reactions, and that can be a drainage issue, right? And so it takes a little bit of time. Go if you're uncertain, you want to find balance, just go slow. I think a there are a lot of different water filters that you can look at. I mean, reverse osmosis at home is a great place to start. And I like that because you're not storing the water in plastic. Don't buy plastic water bottle garbage. There's no way. And it's not, even if it's BPA free, that's one chemical out of many.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a fugazi. Okay. A good one is like Mountain Valley because it's stored in a glass bottle. So if you want to go with something like that, a Mountain Valley is really good. A home reverse osmosis with a carbon filter can be great. I bought a Kangen water machine like 10 years ago, and then I have a 3-4 part water filter system on it under my counter. So that's what I've used. But I think there's also some interesting research around distilled water with trace minerals re-added. So I use what's called Quinton, and I got this from shout out to Justine Stanger. She's awesome. She works with Body Bio, and she threw me onto this trace mineral from deep sea. She said something really smart. She goes, "You need to get your trace minerals from deep sea water, not land. So you need to make sure that any trace minerals you're using are from the deep sea." And she uses something that I've been using called Quinton Hypertonics. I think it's like Quintin. Just go on to Amazon, type in Quinton, and it's like hypertonic. But it's like this blue box, and it's got this little glass. They're like trace minerals stored in glass, and you have to crack the glass and crack the glass, and then it will go into your water. All I think 72 or 78 natural trace minerals from deep sea. That's fantastic. So I think adding that into distilled water, I think, is still interesting. I think the verdict's still out for me, but I know a lot of functional doctors are really getting into that because there are radioactive chemicals that the reverse osmosis can't get out. And then you have the plastic water bottle epidemic issue. So I think there is some interesting concepts around distilled water, especially for people with extreme toxicity, extreme parasite, mold, heavy metal load. That's really big. I mean, environmental toxins and heavy metals is a whole. I mean, we could do a 2-hour conversation on that. It's
Yeah.
massive, but look at the mouth and also oral cavity. I mean, if you've got a white tongue, if you're getting bleeding gums, you probably have bacterial load that's leading increasing chances of certain cancers. Type in Fusobacterium connection to colon cancer, Fusobacterium, and there's some research. Fusobacterium orally linked to colon cancer. And they're now linking that bacteria sitting in your mouth is linked to all sorts of cancers. And it's making its way through your body, through the gums, through swallowing. And so you do need to really make sure that the oral cavity is really good. If you want something, you can go to our shop, theibdshop.com, and type in dental. Just search the word dental. And we have a pack there of like the Dental Side and toothpaste. That's really good for the microbiome in the mouth. If you're really sick, be careful and slow. The Dental Side and LSF. So you need to stop using this bleach mouthwash. Throw it out right now. It's
Yeah.
absolute trash for your body.
Hmm.
Dental Siden's got a great one. Then I use something like a lot of times with weakened gums and gum grafting. I use something called Periopool, but it's like a CoQ10 and coconut oil, and it's really good for rejuvenating the gums. So yeah, oil pulling can be really good to help heal up the gums. And if you've got, white on your tongue, then there's a fungal issue, 100%. So, there's so much, like there's so much there to learn, so much to do, and you can get into balance with life. I know it's overwhelming. I gotta throw out my pantry, throw out my fridge. I gotta throw out
Right.
my carpet. I gotta throw out all this stuff. One step at a time, get in a community, be around people who are like-minded. And I would say get around someone who has the same disease or goals. I mean, that's the thing with Crohn's lifestyle. We all have IBD. There's a few members with IBS, but we're IBD. And so just to be around other people with the same thing is so nurturing and so healing in itself. Just to be like, hey, look, here's 1,000 people all talking to each other, all customizing our plan, all learning. And I go live every week, with our community. So like on Tuesday, I went live on binders, like what binder to use, bentonite clay or
Yeah.
serum-derived bovine immunoglobulins, and how to use activated charcoal, fulvic acid, humic acid, zeolite clay. The different products that bind them up and what works good for biofilms, what works good for a variety of toxins, and then what are the members seeing? Like who feels like this has helped and which binder has helped you the most? I mean, that kind of information is just priceless,
Yeah.
and community feedback. So that's the mission, get results. And, I'm excited for what we're doing. And I know I've talked a ton today, Elizabeth, and you've really allowed me just to sit here and just chirp away. So I appreciate that. And I hope that anyone out there who is suffering has had some big aha moments today, has learned, has felt like they know what they want to do next. And my last piece of advice is get in a community, get somewhere, get connected, get in a program. It'll be worth it, I promise. Just make sure that program has two things from you, that you trust it and that you have integrity with the leaders of that community. If you have those two things, go immediately. I built the community because I didn't have one. And I was alone with this. And I had gotten some great results, but it took a lot of years. You're going to heal way quicker than I did, and with the right systems. And there was none of this when I was trying to heal. None of this. And that's why I built it, because it's like we need these, organizations in this connection and this understanding. And we need the flexibility to move and try this therapy or that therapy and that protocol, or understand this root issue or get that lab work. So healing is possible. You can do it. And when you get past this, when you learn from this, you will essentially be making the rest of your life better. Realize the value here. You're not just doing this for now. Your energy, your vitality, your connection to Mother Nature, your balance spiritually with food, with people, your intuition of health will all 10x. And you cannot name one thing on this planet that's more valuable than that. Don't forget it.
A couple of things just right before you wrap up. I really love that you touched on the mental and the spiritual aspect of this, because you said something about like healing mentally, spiritually, physically. And a lot of times we just want to take one part of that and we want to fix whatever's showing up in our body, but not recognizing that it is connected to mental and emotional and spiritual. I've shared on here before, but I suffered from an eating disorder for 13 years. And when I was going through the healing of that, the one thing that like really, really helped me heal was listening to a song every single night before I went to bed. I would fall asleep on repeat to the song Break Every Chain. And I would just like pray it over my life and be like, okay, God, like I'm giving this to you. I am done. I am done. And I would like play it on replay, like falling asleep to it every single night. And that's really where I found healing. And it was my mind that healed before my body. So it wasn't that time, like nothing ever happened again over the next like year. I had to fight physically for the healing, but mentally I was there. And so I just love that you talk about that, because the bitterness, the anger, the resentment, the things in our life that we hold on to does harbor, and that does manifest. And when we are able to release those things, healing really can come as well. And then the things that we can do for free, but we refuse to do it. So getting to bed at a decent time, putting the screens down, just stepping outside, being grateful. Those are the things that like we can invest in our physical health, even though it's like mentally and spiritually, those things are going to help us. So you can like start with like those steps too.
Yeah,
And they can be hard to implement.
They're hard. You want to know why they're hard? Drum roll. Because you're emotionally sick. It's
Yeah.
a disease in itself. The fact that you won't address your feelings
Yeah.
is a disease, and it's uncomfortable. We don't look, if your answer was comfortable, you would have already done it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Think about it. The answers that you seek, if they were comfortable, you would have already thought it and done it. What does that mean? Everything that you need to do to shift your life and change your reality from here is most likely uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. Meditate. Get present. Why can't you be present with yourself and just breathe for 15 minutes?
Right.
Because there's a energetic spiritual anxiety and fear and disease and trauma, dis-ease, right? You you said it, the same thing as me. I'm done being sick. I'm done being a victim. And I put it up to God. I put it up to Mother Nature. I put it to the divine energy that I want to connect back to myself. I want to feel safe again. That song helped trigger. And what's that happening in science? That's a biochemistry shift. The hormone signals are changing. The signal to the cell is changing. The communication from cell to cell and cell to bacteria and cell to every other living thing in your body, proton, neutron, is changing. That's also called manifestation.
Hmm.
They're one and the same. What you think has a physical reaction. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza says. If you know this is something you need, but you just need to condition it, I want you to go read the book right now, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Oh, what a great title. Breaking the Habit of Being Me. I am stressed. I am anxious. I am depressed. I am bipolar. No, you are feeling those ways, and we need to condition them out. Those are spiritual energies. Okay? Energy and motion, emotion. And they need to be conditioned. And
Yeah.
you've got to wake up and decide to feel good. You've got to attack it. I'm going to feel good. Dane, what's the perfect thing to do in the morning? Feel good. Now do you get it? Now do you get what I'm saying? What feels good? That song feels good? Listen to that song. If sauna feels good, if going for a walk, meditating, what feels good?
Yeah. And you have to
Listen to
like
your body.
adjust that to like your season of life. Cause I know like for me in motherhood with like, I have 3 kids, 3.5 and under, and it's
Oh my God.
chaos. So like
Yeah.
something might feel good in the morning, but it's like, okay, what's actually doable for me? And like music is doable for me. And actually just last week I started making a have a good day playlist. And I'm like, these songs we want to dance to in the morning, we want to sing. And instead of like putting on a movie for the kids or like immediately going to Instagram or whatever it is, it's like we have this playlist of, okay, if we're in the morning and I'm just like, it's like, okay, we can play these songs and we all have fun with it. And that's doable in my season of life. Like maybe having peace and quiet and meditating isn't doable right now because I
Yeah.
have a kid screaming.
Yep.
So, you have to
Yeah.
find things that are doable and are going to work for you. But before we do wrap up, I would love to know just a little bit more about what symptoms early on could be leading to irritable bowel disease, because I know that it can be a slow progress. It wasn't just like one day you were pooping 30 times a day.
Yeah.
Because I know so many people who have different things maybe showing up for them in different ways. Like you were saying a few things that have happened to me in the past. Like for a long time, I couldn't eat salads. I would literally just poop out lettuce if I ate a
Mhm.
salad. Now I'm better with it, but I also don't really eat lettuce anymore. So maybe I'm not better with it. I don't know. I make salads at home without lettuce. So, or like
Try
green, but
I'll give you a little hack with the salads. Try a house salad with arugula. They tend to have the lowest amount of anti-nutrients. And then you want to mix it with, this will change the game with you with salads. I want you to make a homemade dressing with apple cider vinegar, lemon, and manuka honey. The acids help break down the salad. Let it sit in the leaves for about
mm-hmm,
5 or 8 minutes, and you'll see the bowl actually reduce in size by 30% because the acids not only kill off any kind of bacterial load that might be on the raw food, but they also help break down those leaves before you even eat them. They also help increase your natural digestion. Second thing is try to just do a little meditation or calm yourself. I want your low heart rate, belly breathing, and see if you can get yourself salivating before you eat the salad. But
mm-hmm.
if you do that, you won't see any problem. You won't have any problem with leaves.
It's interesting that you said that because the salads that I have probably made this last year were with arugula, and I do make a homemade dressing with apple cider vinegar, lemon, and usually olive oil. I haven't put the honey in there, but I will try that.
Olive oil is
But
good. Like extra virgin olive oil. Also, I like to put a little balsamic. Gives me that
yeah,
taste of love.
Yeah,
And
so
then,
good.
yeah, and then I put sprouted nuts. I like to use living nuts, living N-U-T-Z, living nuts. I put like sprouted pistachios, pecans. I'll put some apples and
Yeah.
oranges, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, you gave some like symptoms earlier that are things like I've seen popped up or I've like known other people, but they haven't necessarily been like continual.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like at what point would somebody reach out to like you guys? Is it like I'm just having some, I see certain things, but maybe it's not necessarily
yeah,
irritable bowel
we
disease,
don't.
but could I work with you or not?
Yeah, we don't require a diagnosis because we only put so much weight on a diagnosis, and we know that doctors can have different opinions on this. So we think that the diagnosis can be a little flimsy. The thing is that if you are dealing with an autoimmune disease, there's probably something going on. There's absolutely something going on in your gut, but you might not have symptoms.
Yeah.
If you're getting blood in the stool, 100%, you're the type of person who should look at doing reaching out. Mucus in the stool, severe bloating, cramping, gas is usually a sign, and that could be IBS. So IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, is a chronic autoimmune disease, where IBS is I think it's pre-IBD in my opinion, and that's about 20 to 30% of America is dealing with IBS. So some gut health disorder, right? Um, Others, so yeah, if you feel like you if you feel like we're the right people for you, and you feel like you have some form of extreme or moderate IBS to IBD, then reach out and fill out our intake form, apply for a strategy session to talk with our team. We only can take 35 to 40 people a month. So when we deep dive, we go hard with you. Um, I think other symptoms like they're very generic, right? A symptom can be related to anything, and then a doctor can stamp you with a different autoimmune disease. But we'll see chronic fatigue. We'll even see constipation, um, cystic acne, chest, back, usually. And these are problems not just for one disease. It's all disease. And
Yeah.
Elizabeth, if I'm gonna be honest, if you put a gun to my head and you give me someone with any autoimmune disease and you say fix them, I think I can help. Not perfectly, but I can help significantly because I know the gut is connected with all disease, and I
Hmm.
know how to fix the gut.
Yeah.
I mean, put a name on it, call it Donald Duck. I don't care what you call it. Like I look at the body as a whole and how it works, and the systems, the gut lining, the microbiome, the digestive process, the ability for the create pancreatic enzymes and bile production and liver health and lymphatic health and colon health. It's just a lot of this stuff is happening with all disease, right? It's the same thing when it's just manifesting into different forms of symptoms or problems. Um, so those are, major symptoms. I'd say, yeah, if you're having multiple bowel movements a day, more than 6, 7, 8, 15, that's definitely something where you need to look at reaching out. If you're experiencing severe weight loss, that's something I definitely say is highly connected. There's an absorption issue, there's a digestion problem, anemia also, something's happening, digestion, absorption issue. Those are a lot of the main symptoms we're seeing. Cramping and pain in the bowel. I'll sometimes see like with parasites or worms. I'll see with strictures, obstructions, impacted stool that you're not properly releasing, which is connected. I mean, a stagnant bowel with slow transit time is connected to cognitive function issues. It's all connected, right? And so with you're dealing with any disease, heal thy gut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Liver and gut are like the two I'm always saying what's going on. I hear
Yeah.
chronic disease, I look at the liver and the gut. And so that's something to reach out for. And if you're on if you're on a I know there's a lot of parents here, and a lot of the stuff we said, like just like you said, Elizabeth, like I get it. I have kids. I don't have time for all this stuff right now. What can I do? Start with things that are simple and start with things that you can eliminate. Just try to get rid of the seed oils, try to get rid of the tap water. Go to bed with your kids. I got a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old, I'd take him to the hospital yesterday. I mean, it was tough. We go to bed with our kids now. We just don't have time for it. My kid goes to bed at 8. I'm usually going to bed at 8 or 8:30 nowadays. Now I might wind down a little bit slower, but like I'm in my pajamas, I'm ready. Because if my kid wakes up at 5:30, I need to have sleep. Like I woke up at 6 a.m. and I was dealing with my son, and I came on this podcast at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That was today. Like you've got to realize the connection with your kids. What I've learned from being a parent is your kids want to eat what you eat. Your kids want to watch if you watch. If we keep the TV off, my kids aren't complaining about TV. But if I'm watching TV, Dada, I want to watch this. Dada, I want to watch that because I'm watching. So they want to indulge in what you indulge in. The kids are going to repeat you. They want to eat what you're eating. All right. They're not going to eat. My son will eat avocado, broccoli, all that because I eat it.
Mhm.
My son doesn't, he wants junk food because he's gotten a little taste for it, but I'm like, I don't eat any junk food. And he
Yeah.
keeps calling it junk food. He'll go, Dada, that guy's eating junk food. I'm like, yeah, calm down. It's okay. But he knows how to identify junk food and he knows
Yeah.
it's not good for him. And when he gets a bellyache, he knows it. So it's like, try to live how you want your kids to live. Go to bed early, wake up early if you can. I know breastfeeding at night and bed sharing, it's really difficult stuff. I see my wife doing it. Man, it is just, you just got to get through it. There's no perfect hack. You just got to get through it. And we got to hold, us fathers, we just got to hold space for our wives. I mean, it is just crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
Um, and, the breastfeeding and all of this stuff, it's very difficult. And you're trying to get your body back and repair, and your hips are trying to come back together. It's insane. So, I think that, um, but I'd say the same thing. Get in some kind of program, get access because you can be on your phone. Like our community is on your phone. You can hit an app and boom, you're in and you're talking, you're watching, you're learning, you're growing. You can do it whenever. So get access and then build a plan that's simple. Start with like a morning shake. It's way quicker than cooking. You don't have all the dishes. It's very bioavailable. You can get all these different supplements in there that mask the taste. You can get like, I'll put bone broth protein, collagen, essential amino acids. I'll put probiotics, coconut kefir. I'll put resistant starches. I'll put acacia fiber. I'll put avocado. I put my berries in there. I have and it's just like 800 calories, all my essentials, all my aminos, all my protein, plus very bioavailable food I can do right there. So, shake a day will keep the doctors away. I like to say that is so good for you. Get a shake. It'll help clear out your bowels. Remember, getting rid of toxins, you got to get the bowels cleaned out. You can use mucosal healers in there, slippery elm, marshmallow root, deglycerized licorice root, aloe vera. I mean, you can put so much stuff that you can mess with an elemental shake. And then meals, like if you don't have time to cook, get a rotisserie chicken, order your groceries and get 2 rotisserie chickens. If you do well with meat, get a thing of sauerkraut if you can handle the fermented foods. Do fermented food, do meat, do avocado, and do a little potato. I used to just go to the hot food bars at Sprouts or Whole Foods and just boom, get something like that. Or that's one of the reasons I live in Southern California is because there's so much organic food here. So I can get the organic food delivered to my house. So, when you make something, don't make one meal, make tons of meals, make a big bone broth and have that, and make a little white rice if you need a grain or something, because it doesn't have the phytic acid and the lectins and the intensity. If you're dealing with extreme gut issues, you'll probably do well with congee.
Mhm.
And so you just need a place to simplify. So here's the final answer. Simplify your problems and then either do them yourself where you say, I'm going to need a simple solution to this, okay? Or get in a community and look for what other people are doing, or get a coach and continue to refine how to make a simple day. 80% of your plan should be first thing in the morning and first thing at night. And that should help you with the kids. First thing in the morning, first thing at night. Try to make your day simple. I wouldn't be taking a lot of supplements in the middle of the day. I wouldn't be worrying about making food in the middle of the day. Try to prepare things prior and just get your day free and then do things from, because I go to bed early, I can wake up to 5:30 in the morning, so I can run a plan and do things in the morning and boom, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So, and then I had, you can see right here, anyone who doesn't see this visually, I made eggs right before. I mean, I had to be on here at 8 a.m., right? So I made eggs, avocado, I had 2 oranges. I made it for my son, apples, eggs, and then I'm going to have an elemental shake right after this with a lot of the ingredients I just talked about. And then I've got a client in 5 minutes and I'm going to work 8, 9 hours today. And I work 50, 60 hours a week. Plus I have 2 kids. I mean, it's just, you got to take care of yourself. I have no caffeine. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. And I wake up at 5:30. So it's just like, you have to get over the trauma of, I need to be up late. You have to get over the trauma stuff. Like I'd rather have time in the morning than to have time at night.
Yeah.
Because the morning is optimistic to me. So I hope that
Yeah.
helps. We went over so much today, and I'm so grateful for you guys. And thank you so much. If you want to learn more about us, you can check us out, CrohnsColitisLifestyle.com. And there'll be an intake form you can fill out to see if you're a fit or a candidate for working with us. It'll be very simple and broken down and easy. And then if so, we're going to do an hour-long strategy session for you for free and deep dive on your case. You're going to be talking to someone who's already healed themselves of Crohn's colitis. And we're going to do everything in our power to really deep dive and help you out and see if our program's a fit for you. And if you're on a serious budget and you're like, man, I'm just stuck, I don't know what to do, just email us at info@CrohnsColitisLifestyle.com. Or just shoot us a message and say, Dane, hey, do you have something? We are building something that's much more budget friendly for the global solution for IBD, which is my dream, a global solution for IBD right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. God bless
Yeah.
everybody as possible. I hope I've just even an hour conversation, we've touched on how much you can do.
Right, right. And you can hear your passion in it. Obviously, it's always fun talking to people who are passionate about what they're doing. And I'll include also your Instagram in the show notes because you share tons of free information and resources there as well. So I'll
Yeah.
make sure that everybody knows where to connect with you. And thank you again so much for your time and energy today.
Thank you so much. God bless.